Well, hello, hello. Hope everybody is doing well. Welcome to the May meetup of Southern Fried DNN, May 2024. Can you believe it? It's 2024, almost the middle of 2024 already. And I don't know if anybody else is gearing up for it, but I'm gearing up for DNN Connect. I know several people have moved. Now, Joe, I got a question for you, Mr. Craig, because I thought you were not going. Are you now going? Is that a thumbs up for going, or you're muted? Still muted. Yeah,
There he
there you go.
is.
Unmute. Does that work better?
Yeah, that
Sure
works better.
does.
At the moment, I am going.
Oh, that's awesome. Great.
Um, I've still got 4 days to wimp out. There 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 are some things going on. I think I mentioned, and so
Yeah.
I may need to be here. In which case I won't go. But yeah, I let Kathy know not to give away my room yet.
That's great. Well, hopefully we'll see you there.
Unless there was an attractive young woman who wanted to share it with me.
All right.
But yes, I'm hoping I'll see you, Dave, and all those other nice folks.
Yeah, it should be a good time. So for those of you that don't know, DNN Connect is happening May the 23rd through the 26th. I know I fly out on Monday. A couple other people have already left and started their trek to go there. I think what, Marco, you're heading out and on Monday as well, I believe. And Daniel Veladas, I know he left today, but they're doing a bit of traveling around with the family beforehand and afterhand, so that'll be nice. I think they had a little over 50 people registered last time I heard. So, that's pretty normal, between 50 and 100 people or so. There'll be a lot of last minutes, I'm sure, come in, but it'll be a fun time and Shopry, Switzerland. So if you're going, we look forward to seeing you there. Another thing to have on the radar here is that you may or may not have been out to the DNN Summit site recently, but it has been updated for the 2025 event, which is February the 3rd through the 4th. And notice in the big letters, Las Vegas or virtual event. So woohoo! Finally, after how many years? 3, 4 years?
The
This is
last one
4
was
years.
2020, right?
Yeah, I
That's
think the
right.
last one was 2020. Well, actually 20, yeah, it was 2020
No,
in
2020.
Orlando.
February
Yep,
2020 was Orlando.
yep. So yeah, 'cause we came right back from there, and ev the world changed. So
Yeah.
it would be nice to get back in person for an event. So, but no fears, if you can't go to the event, you can still participate in the event as virtual. I don't know exactly how that's going to work yet, detail wise, but
Yeah.
be sure to check out DNN Summit. Ryan, you might know more to be able to speak to
How?
this, but feel free to speak.
Yeah. How's my audio? Is it?
It's good. Yep,
Fine.
you're
Yeah.
good.
Is it decent enough? I could give just
Oh
a
yeah.
couple of quick details. All
Yep,
right.
you're
Yep.
good.
It is going to be a hybrid event in that all of the sessions are going to be on Hopin fully. So if you are coming in person, you're going to be sitting in a room and be there with the presenter who is in the room presenting, but they will be using their laptop to present as they have, for the past several years online to Hopin. We'll have a couple of extra mediators to help merge together both the online questions and the in the room questions together. So during the event, during the evenings, in between sessions, they'll still all be the same features and benefits that you use inside of Hopin to connect with people, message people, go back and forth. But then because it's going to be in person in Las Vegas, there will also be after hours events occurring that are in person only, and that'll kind of switch over. So it's going to be a unique and interesting time. We're going to do a little bit of inventing. There are plenty of other conferences we've seen that do hybrid, and this is going to be our first work at doing that for DNN Summit. And I think that there'll be a lot of benefits with it because, again, with the Hopin platform, you'll have a year to go back and watch those sessions. So even more than in person and normal, any sessions you miss, you can go back and watch those recordings afterwards on Hopin.
And for
That
anybody
kind
that's
of is a
familiar,
good plug to anyone who attended. Yeah, anyone who attended previously, the one for this year, then do remember that you have those recordings, and they will stay around until roughly January next year. So do go back and watch those previous recorded sessions if you have a chance.
it's going to be at the Cosmopolitan for those of you that know the Vegas area. So it's a nice place, and it should be good. Looks like it's going to be limited to the first 90 attendees. The early bird registration is open, I think, until November the 22nd, if my memory serves me correctly from the homepage. And the expense for in-person is $699 and virtual is $150. I think that is early bird pricing, so you have a little bit of time, to make that decision, but definitely want to take advantage of the early bird on that. I think the format's going to be about the same, though, right, Ryan? As far as they'll do a call for speakers at some point, and don't know how many tracks there will be, but my guess is it's two tracks based off of
2 tracks.
this. Yep. Okay. And if you're interested in sponsoring,
2 tracks based on the number of rooms that we have available at this point.
If you're interested in sponsoring, those packages are now published out here as well. And a few sponsors already signed up for it, but be sure to check that out, because with it being an in-person event, the expense level for the association is astronomically higher. So those sponsorships could really help to put on the event and get you the promotion that would serve your company well. On this, you can just click this button and it'll send an email to info@dnnsummit.org. Somebody will get back to you on that, but yeah, exciting times. Maybe a little bit of return to normalcy there then, right? Be great.
Woohoo!
So if you haven't been watching, I know I thought I'd mention this because like it's so easy to miss certain things that are going on in the community. Like if you live on Discord or you live on Slack still and don't see what's going on Discord, vice versa, or you're on Facebook on the DNN Connect group page, or you're out on the community site, it's easy to miss little pockets of activity within the community. So one that I wanted to highlight at this event was really the forums. There has been a lot of work gone into making forms better and more usable. Still a long ways to go because it's quite a complex solution there, but there's a lot of activity actually happening out here on a daily basis. And I, for one, have never been a forms guy. I've openly said that. It's just not in my thinking. I'm not thinking about forms, and I'm also impatient. So if I really need an answer to a question, I like the more immediate response, sometimes. However, one glitch that was in the forums for a long time was notifications were very flaky. And, whenever you subscribe to a forum post or something like that, or to a whole forum, I wasn't getting notified of those things. So now I am getting notified of those things, and I find myself actually using the forums more and more. And there's a lot of people that are interacting in this medium that aren't on Discord, aren't on Slack, aren't in Facebook groups. So, it's just another medium to get some rich information, and a couple little features here just to point them out. You can check out, active topics, the things that are actually being talked about right now from top to bottom here. Mine's kind of caught up because I've already been here today and looked at it, but you can go out here, take a look at unanswered questions, things that haven't been responded to. Maybe you know the answer to one of these or so. Oh, somebody posted. That was in 2023. Yeah, I need to go through this list, but I don't go through this one enough, really. So I got about 177 in my queue. But this will be personalized to you. Once you've taken a look at something or something's been responded to, then it'll kind of fall off your list. Most liked, if you want to see kind of stuff that's going on right there, that's the last day. You can filter it by the number of days and that kind of thing. How many replies? Every once in a while you get verified whether or not you're a human. Uh, then there's that, and I'm not logged in right here either. So when you log in, there's a few other features, but I just thought I would point it out because I've learned quite a few things over the last month or so by interacting in the forums. You know, it's like being in the community this long and knowing as much as I know, there's still not a week that goes by that I don't learn something new and go, oh gosh, I didn't even know that was in DNN. So it's a nice area to, one, help others that need help, two, to really kind of learn and find answers to things that you may be looking for. So I encourage everybody to search. The other thing is when you're searching for answers to problems that you might be having or challenges you might be having within a DNN environment, you know, you go to Google or you go to Bing or whatever and you search for it, right? So much work has been done on the community site to help expose and index things. And the forums and things like that are now being indexed much better. And I have noticed a shift that finally DNNcommunity.org is kind of winning over the content for DNNsoftware.com, which is where the forums used to be, right? And there's still a lot of archived forums and so forth out there, and a lot of rich content. You can still find answers there, but it's nice to see that shift actually go to the community-driven site because the other one's not really actively being maintained or interacted with. So just thought that would be a nice thing to showcase today. Anything else going on in the community that we need to be aware of or that others may find helpful to know? I know there's a lot of activity in the Too Sexy world. Anything updated other than that people want to highlight?
Another Too Sexy release, I guess, was today, was it?
Oh, really?
Yep,
Just today, huh?
1708, I think. I lose track of the numbers. Not an
Here
LTS yet, but
they'll just go to 18 for the LTS, but there is an LTS on the 17. It is 17.6.3, I believe, is the LTS.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's 603 is the
yeah, there
LTS.
We go.
Yeah.
The 08 does add a really cool feature that I have wanted, and if you read about it, and there'll be samples soon, the iTemplate service is just inline token replacement of your strings. And it's a really nice feature. We've often wanted to, and in a couple of situations have allowed clients to have an app have multiple templates of output defined right in the content type. And this allows you to have tokens in there, and in one step, you can process those tokens directly to your data. But anyhow, there'll be stuff. I'm really excited about it because it's actually something we sort of did ourselves less than 2 months ago. So I'm looking forward to seeing if I can switch it over to use this.
So Jeremy, is that in the context of Razor having tokens within Razor, or is this using the old
It's sort
one?
of, yes, within. But just imagine the template's a string. There's tokens in the string. You need to replace them, and they can be pulling data. It's a pretty cool idea.
Cool. Yeah, that's nice.
But I haven't used it yet. I'm just excited to try it out. So there's that.
It's always something new there to to try to figure out, right? Or reverse engineer before docs are published on it, or interpret docs that have already been published. So
yeah, if it had been released yesterday, I probably would have played with it by now. So
yeah. Fantastic. All righty. Just trying to think if there's anything else noteworthy. I mean, of course, the ongoing work with DNN10 is happening. Everybody wants to know when it's going to happen. Soon. It's going to happen soon. So,
just tell them this year, and otherwise, that's
yeah,
all it means.
It's probably safe to say this year. I know there was
I'm
some
hoping it's safe.
hope. I think there was some hope to get an RC out before DNN Connect, but that's not happening because that's obviously next week. So it's only so much time in a day.
That's the perfect answer.
Yeah, it is coming along. I mean, there's really only a few things left to do, and it's just a matter of time for those contributing to get those things done. So I think after DNN Connect, things will be a little bit more back to a normal pace there, hopefully, and be able to kind of get it out within the next month or two. It's going to be a big one though, so it'd be nice to see that happen. Let me see. Is there anything else? I can't think of anything else. So I guess the main thing for tonight is we want to do a show and tell. So this is kind of more of an open forum. As long as it's remotely related to DNN, feel free to share. It could be some trick that you've learned or something that you didn't know about DNN or something that you knew about and is not talked about enough in the community and you just want to highlight it and show it, or maybe a cool client project that you've done that's nice to show off. But, you know, Jeremy, since you raised your hand, would you mind going first?
Okay, but with the caveat of I'm on a brand new machine, and even like, do you notice when I connected before, I had to leave and come back?
Yeah.
I didn't have the drivers installed for this and I didn't realize
Oh,
it. So
so
there's
you might run
probably
into something then.
that I might run into something. Exactly. That's all I'm
That's
saying.
okay. It's all right. It's forever recorded, so we can just giggle for
Yeah,
eternity on it.
thanks.
That'll be
There's
awesome.
no pressure there, right?
Exactly.
All right. So are you saying I should go now?
Yeah, whenever you are ready.
So where does that screen share button move to this week?
It's that big green one down in the bottom center
Yeah.
when you hover it.
No, that's just my general comment on who moved my cheese. I'm getting so tired of UIs deciding that something's newer and better and ignoring us old folks. All right, so let's get this undone again. I was supposed to do that before you guys saw. All right, how do I show you this? You can see my screen, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so here, let's save, refresh. I was experimenting with beforehand with what I was going to show you, and I didn't clean up because I didn't expect you to start me up so quickly. Okay, so we have a Too Sexy app. It's from 2-3 years ago, was written by one of our developers who's gotten a lot better since then. And
Hi.
when you look at stuff, it needs a
Love
lot of
you.
refactoring. So we're going to kind of ignore the fact that the code makes me twitch and Twitter because there's a lot of, you can see whole sections of it. It's like, why isn't that a function? And so what this does is it's the structured data underneath your page, and it allows you to configure Open Graph and all. We put a whole bunch of stuff in here. So we had it in one module and made it so that you could put it on a page and easily get to and see the approximate results of what you're working on. So your JSON LDs, your Open Graph, all of this stuff is getting generated, one, automatically and by default, and then two, you can then come in additionally into certain sections and cards, pull them up as content types, and change the settings, change the image that's delivered in the stuff. So, and I understand other people have done this. So that's not what we're here to show off or demo. I'm just letting you know this exists. If you go to acu4.com and click on Acu Things, you'll see it in the list of stuff. What we're here to show off right now is, here's a page on a website, and I'm logged in and I'm seeing all my stuff, and I scroll down, and our AccuStruct module outputs for miles down the page. It just goes on and on with all this different information, and it's always bugged me. And so what I wanted to show off real quick was nowadays, because the new details and summary HTML element is working in all browsers. It's way past 98% supported. Here's the code that you were just looking at. This output starting right here is right here. And as you can see, when I click on this, I'm going to scroll. I think it's like 800 lines of code. And it goes on and on and on and on and on and on further. There it is. There's the end of that section. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to get back to the top. My finger's starting to hurt from the scrolling. We're going to zip up the section. So there it's starting, there it's ending. There's 800 lines of code out of the way. We're just going to use the new HTML element called details. I'm gonna, because I did this ahead of time, we're going to give it a class of M-3 because we're in Bootstrap. Let's see, there we go. My end details tag goes after the section. And now we are going to put a summary in place. Let's take that. And in here, I'm just going to copy this from somewhere else because I don't want to think and type all this again. So this is the summary. This is what you're going to see. It's going to say AccuStruct, manage and customize structured data for the page. And delete that. I'm also going to tell the summary to have a class. Bootstrap or Tailwind for that matter needs a bottom margin 3. So all I've added is basically a start and end details tag, a start and end summary tag, a span, which is actually my heading. Notice the class H5. So I'm not using an H5 because I don't want to. I have my own peculiar reasons for that. Then I have 8 lines of code outputting all of this stuff. I'm going to hit save. We're going to come back over here and we're going to refresh. So of course, DNN is compiling, well, 2sexy is compiling. And all of this miles of junk on the page is now one line. I have no CSS, no JavaScript added. And now I click to expand and now it's completely out of the way except for when I want to use it. And look how nice the interface is. There's no animations, no silliness. And I have a plain headline and I've done it in a mono font. So you kind of know it's a developer-y feel to it, but you open it up and now you've got all your stuff in front of you. You can edit your stuff. You can get in and do things, but it's all out of the way. So anyhow, I just wanted to point out to people, if you're not using it, the modern details HTML tag works great in razor views to go hide stuff and do all different kinds of things. I'll even show you one other quick one where we used it for our own debugging purposes.
Jeremy, while you're pulling that up, what would you say the main benefit or difference is in doing this versus using an accordion in Bootstrap? Since you're in Bootstrap, we'll use that as an example.
Oh, absolutely easy. You're not having to worry about whether or not Bootstrap has the JavaScript installed to do the extra things like closing. There's so little HTML here. And honestly, there are some advantages to the Bootstrap stuff if you're used to it. There's a lot of toys and tools in there that work really well. And I've used it for years. I often go to the Bootstrap site, grab that as my starting point, throw that in, and then start working around it. But this has ended up being easier in a lot of situations. The one I wanted to show you real quick is an example of that. By using this detailed summary thing, when I was redeveloping this user manager module by Upendo for our needs, I kept having to get a lot of debug output on the page so I could keep track of things because I was learning the module as I was going. And so this right here, this debug details, these details and summaries can be nested. So watch this. Here's all my details, debug details showing version, module IDs. Here's the module information. Here's my model being thrown at me so I can see what's in my model at that exact moment with everything selected. Here's my icon. I went nuts replacing all the icons in here, and I needed to see the output and what was coming from my own icon. We have our AccuLadder library that implements Google, Font Awesome, and I don't know, there's 3 or 4 icon libraries combined into one module, but I needed a lot of help getting all of this stuff working in place. So anyhow, this as a nested, and notice how different the styling is. I have a little animation in place. They're nested. It looks nicer. It has a nicer heading. You know, it's just more visual. You can see what's going on. And doing all that was just a few little lines of CSS and wrapping things nicely in detail start, detail end, summary inserted. It's just so simple. It's actually easier than getting the Bootstrap accordion working once you get used to it. And just as a side note, this is all these buttons in this row, 2 rows here, that's all DNN elements. Love those.
So you need to now contribute a DNN details element. That would be awesome.
Mm-hmm. Actually, I know this guy, Jeremy, and he's been planning to do that since last March. It's on the damn to-do list. I'm gonna do something to help him get it done, but so far not much progress. And also the people who have been working on DNN elements have made a lot of progress. And the last time I tried to play with it, I got a little confused this time. It was not as easy as it was last March. There's a lot of stuff been added.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because that was probably something I should have highlighted. Maybe I'll take a second to do that.
You guys have made a
before the next
lot of
person.
progress. It's wonderful.
There's a lot of improvements been made.
The only thing I miss is, I know you guys added that storybook, but I miss it, having all of the elements on one page to play with. That was
Oh, it's still there.
fantastic.
That's
No,
still
it's
there.
not. Is it really?
Yes. Yeah, it is.
Well, someone needs to tell us older folks who can't figure things out how to get to it.
It's just the index HTML that's sitting in the root of the library. So
It is not.
yeah, it is.
Oh my God. All right, let's move this video on because now I feel embarrassed.
Anything else you're planning on showing, or is it good for now?
No, that's it for now. I tripped through 3 things
Can I
really,
just
but I
point-
just wanted to point out this details thing. It's so useful if you have, especially in user interfaces, if you have gobs of stuff on the page. I mean, look at all this information at one point I had in front of me. Obscuring the module is way down here. So having it wrapped up all nice like that is wonderful.
Yeah, it's great.
Can
Ryan,
I
did you have
just
some-
object to Jeremy absconding with the moniker old folks?
Well,
Not old enough to use it.
Hey,
Okay, I turned 60 last year, and I got to tell you, I'm feeling it.
Okay, I was
I
about
know,
to graduate from high school when you were born, you know that.
Yeah. Often I'm the guy saying that to the person younger than me. They're like,
Yeah.
you can't be, prove you're that old. And I have to pull out my wallet and show my license. So.
That's great. Thanks for sharing that. Before we go into the next person, since you brought it up, Jeremy, I will highlight just a few things that's been done on DNN elements. Daniel would be able to do a little bit better job than I would explaining some of this, but I'll try to botch my way through it. Let me try to share my screen again. By the way, when 10 releases, there'll probably be a lot more. You'll hear a lot more talk about DNN elements because they're going to be used more and more, and the integration of some of the things that are being done in DNN 10, versus being used in DNN elements is going to make it a lot nicer proposition for developers to use. But Jeremy was mentioning DNN, the storybook out here, which is a great way to kind of see all the components in action. And everybody's probably seen all this before, but some pretty significant work has been done over the last couple of months. One of which is, I guess the most recent thing is and it's not been published yet. Okay. Yep, I can't really show this right now. Okay, but it is a autocomplete. I suppose I could do it locally if we really wanted to live on the edge. I could do this locally, and then I also yeah, you know what? This will be my show and tell. Let's just do this. We'll do this. All right. So what I've got in VS Code here is actually DNN elements cloned locally. So let's do this. Let's npm run start. So this is how you would do this once you do npm install on this to get all the packages and so forth. You'd do npm run start. And what that'll do, Jeremy, is run the thing that you didn't. Oh, hold on just
Sorry.
a second.
No,
Am I in the wrong place? Hold on. Yeah, I wasn't really ready for this. Let's see here.
Do you
Root
want to
here.
prep something in the back and then let Joe talk for a second, and then we come back to you when you prep some code?
I don't think I need that long. Let's see.
Okay. Also, if it helps and you
All right,
remember,
good deal.
I have another 5-minute demo I could do later.
Let me do this real quick. Did I not type it right? I don't think I typed it right. Oh, I'm on the wrong. Okay, I got it now. Okay, let me see. Git checkout. Git branch. Git.
This is
Think about this. Pull upstream. Develop.
this
Let me
is
get the
such a
latest.
well-organized project. I have to say that out loud because I often come back and look at this to reference the structure for other stuff I'm doing. I really like the way you guys set this up. I'm sure you look at it and think it could be better already, but I like this.
It is pretty well organized. Can be a little bit overwhelming, for the first time in here, but it's actually quite simple when you start collapsing things.
Exactly.
There's a package folder here, and this React library is actually auto-generated, everything about it. So we don't manage source there. We manage source in the stencil library. Stencil is the tool we use to author the HTML elements. So within there, you've got source, and here's all your components. So it's actually quite simple when you get down to the component level. You've got usually a TypeScript file, which is just the stories. That's for Storybook. So it's not even part of the functionality of the element. This is really the functionality of the element. One TSX file, which is similar to JSX, but it uses TypeScript instead of JavaScript. If you're familiar with React, it's very similar kind of pattern to it. And you got a SAS file. That's it. The README file's auto-generated and everything, so it's pretty nice. So now I should be able to do this. What the heck? Well, Ryan, I might have to. I'm just doing it wrong. What in the world? Well, that's running. Oh. I know what I'm doing wrong. I got to get into the stencil project. There we go. I was in the wrong folder.
See, that's what I do every time I haven't touched something for 3 weeks. I can't remember how to do it. I totally appreciate where you're at right now.
So Jeremy, this is the file that you wish was there. It loads it whenever you run it. You run npm run start on the stencil library, and this will build it and show all the components on one page locally, so you can kind of really see things all in one place. You can also do this.
I thought that went away
here, but it's been there the whole time. It's just that used to we published this before we did Storybook. This was what we published.
Yep.
Yeah, so they're a little bit disorganized here though, so it's not as developer friendly as this would be, but it is friendly in the sense you have everything all in one place and you can work with the code. The things that are new, just to highlight it real quick, are there's a DNN autocomplete element now, and it's quite powerful. It's kind of like a drop down, but this is being dynamically loaded from any source that you want. So that's externalized. And as you start to type, let's just do a portion of that. So IF fifth, and then you can select it and do whatever you need to do with it. So if you're familiar with the old Telerik controls, to do this, it's like a look ahead or an autocomplete. There's also like select to is a popular one out there in the .NET space. This essentially replaces it in a pure HTML element sort of way. Looks simple right here. It's actually quite complicated behind the scenes, and a lot of power there to be able to do some cool stuff. Another thing is Daniel done a lot of work with these input fields to be able to use color picker type stuff with it, and this is really powerful. But we've got the color picker element here, which you can actually change the color of the normal color as well as the contrast color, because a lot of times you want to set both colors for something, but this just gives you a nice input to be able to do that in either RGB or hex or HSL. Something else that really the bulk of the recent work has been in down at the bottom. You'll see an example of a form, and with some of the changes in the HTML standards, now you get validation right out of the box. So you notice that we've got first name, last name, they're set up as required fields using the DNN input element. If we were to try to submit this form, then we're going to see we're going to see, that may be not working right now. Oh boy. Well, the validation reports to the elements now. And if it's not in the right format, yeah, there's an example. So your validation is just firing right off the bat, and my last pass is getting in the way. Let's see if I can find something that's gonna not pass. Here's the autocomplete on that. Anyways, all of this is, we've got a new element that is it's like a field set element. So that's what's wrapping all of the fields. So if you need to do a form and have form validation actually working, it's all going to work natively so that you don't have to wire up all that and do this complex validation stuff. And the elements, the individual elements are supporting the validation in that native way. So you don't have to have some kind of library to be able to do this, you know, and validation, or roll your own validation framework or anything like that. You can just use native features, and it's something a lot of people don't know about yet, but it's been there in HTML for a little while now, so we're just bringing it to DNN elements. It's kind of cool. Daniel would be able to do a much better job at showing this off, but when you reset, it does the whole form, and notice everything reset back to the beginning and wipes stuff out. So if you know, there's a validation example right there. So as soon as it happens, that's not in the form of a website. So therefore we get validation coming back. So maybe it needs, there we go. Now we got something valid, and it's good. Reset, we'll just reset all the fields. So pretty powerful when you wrap everything that way and use the native features.
I'm glad these are all real examples. Like 80% of these are things I've had to do that.
Yeah, yeah. Pretty cool stuff though. Okay, I'll stop now. Joe, you had something to share there, and I did mute you earlier, so you'll have to unmute yourself. There was some background noise there.
How's that?
No,
Yeah.
that's better. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm here seeking sympathy. Those of you on Discord will have seen my plaintive cries for help over the last couple of weeks. I'm upgrading a DNN 6.2.5 site, which was built around 2013 and has never been upgraded. And you know, that was .NET 2 something. So the first thing that has to happen is to get .NET 4. And God only knows what's going to happen when we get to DNN 9. It has a nice combination of commercial, locally developed modules, most of which don't have the source code, so I'm having to do a lot of decompiling. But so expect to see me with crazy questions and whiny answers, and I appreciate the couple of answers I got last night about, did you notice it's .NET 2? That helped. When you go from 2 to 4, you got lots of whining about what's in the web.config file that has to do with versions of assemblies and things like that. But I think those of you who hang out online will see a lot more of me than you have seen for the last year. And that's about it. It's nice to be back playing on the field.
It's good to see you, Joe. Yeah, good luck with that upgrade. That can be fun when we don't touch those old ones.
I'll grab you by the collar next week and say, help me with this, Dave. You're my only hope.
Happy to help. Well, there will be plenty of smart people there can help. So, all right, Ryan, did you want to give a shot at showing what you were talking about in the chat? Your internet doing pretty well there?
Yeah. I think that it's spotty, because even the audio that I hear from you is starting and stopping or choppy. So I'm not going to risk video. I'll just describe a couple of things. We've been doing some projects recently where we're working, which thank you, fantastic. We've been doing a lot of projects this past month or two with hotcakes as the focus, actually. Within the DNN community, we have worked with every store system that there is out there. I still have a couple of licenses for that storefront store system from a million years ago. If anybody wants to trade, I'll trade you a couple of bottle caps for a license. I think I even have some paid hotcakes licenses that never went used either. I'll trade you those two for some baseball cards. Anyways, we have been doing two kinds of different projects recently. One of the limitations of hotcakes is the way that it pulls data and presents data on screen, especially for a list view and a search results type of page. The hotcakes system just doesn't handle very well or very quickly more than a few thousand records of products. That once you cross above 800 products, the pages start to slow down. If you get to 7,000 products or 10,000 products, it's not going to load faster than 10 or 15 seconds, or it'll time out. So we've been doing some work to speed up and do what we can. We're taking an approach with hotcakes plus Xmod Pro, which is a way that we often will work around issues with one module or another. We'll use Xmod Pro to do displays for us and keep the rest of everything else the same. So we have a display where we have 17,000 records that load in a half second to a second, which is a phenomenal change from 20 seconds or timing out to half a second. And that's because with Xmod Pro, what we're doing is loading a not hard-coded, but a stable data cached file. We have the Windows schedule process running and making us a JSON list of all of the products, and then we parse and display that JSON list with Xmod Pro. So we're finding a very quick and fast way to display a lot of things while still keeping hotcakes as the back end. Another project just for show and tell that happens to be going on at the same time, that is hotcakes related, is the opposite direction for hotcakes. One thing to share with everybody is just a reminder: if you are working with the UPS shipping provider, the standard UPS shipping provider that's been around for quite a long time, has been retired or is sunsetting their previous service authentication method, going from one in which they have accounts and keys to one that is OAuth2 based type of API keys and login. And because of that, any store system that uses the older UPS shipping services will stop working. They've been announcing that for quite a long time, and here on June the 3rd is the expiration date for when the service will officially stop working. So everyone who has a store system that's using the older UPS shipping methods is going to be out of luck in about 19 days. So we've been working with this one client that uses UPS heavily to decide what was going to be possible. We reached out to some folks and tried to see what we could do to stay on the same application set, because we really appreciated working in Hotcakes for all those years. But it doesn't seem that Hotcakes is going to be updated in time to have a new version of that UPS shipping method. So we started a rush project to switch gears and move over to another store system. And so we're moving over to Razor Cart or Smith Cart from Smith Consulting. And so far we're about 2 days in, maybe about 8 to 10 hours. And we have almost completely replaced everything that was Hotcakes related with everything that's Razor Cart related. So it's been an unusual migration project. I don't normally take something that's built in one tool and switch it to another tool. It's not normally something that we have to do in the middle of the same site or the same project. But I've been very pleased to see that we could move from one to the other fairly quickly, and without too much painful effort. We're going to be up and running again in another day or two with Razor Cart, swapping it out with Hotcakes. So I don't know if anyone else out there has a lot of e-commerce or does things that require the UPS shipping services, but if you do, you should definitely take a look and make sure that you're in good shape.
Cool stuff. Thanks, Ryan.
There
Yep.
was
Sorry, I don't have visuals. I was going to share some pictures and screens.
Oh, no worries.
There was a question on Discord either yesterday or today, questions about shopping carts. Maybe, Ryan, if you could take a look at that, you might be able to offer some help.
On Discord, you said?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll jump in and take a look.
Does anybody else have anything to share? I just thought of one thing I could share if nobody else has anything, but I don't want to steal the floor.
I can't find the raise hand button for some reason. This Sherman, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you good, Sherman. How you doing?
Good, good. Now you got to remember, I'm the guy that runs with scissors, okay? And so I buy my modules to try to get that camera straight. I just did want to mention, I realize you guys are probably rolling your own modules and code and all of that, but at the end of the day, people like me, I mean, I'm working out in the oil field and trying to keep the website going for clients. But Mandeep's just brought that out, that live forms that'll actually encrypt all of your data in there. Have y'all covered anything like that?
Mm-hmm. Oh, and I haven't
Yeah.
covered it in a meetup or not, but I did see that happened in Live Forms 8.
I did not,
Yeah.
and that's fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
it's
it
pretty easy.
for me, just like the e-commerce that we were just shopping carts, that type of stuff. I noticed that Mandeep's dropped the Stripe support. Thank God I was on the authorized net side of the house, but he was talking how the API keys and everything changed, and apparently he can't even support Stripe right now. And then I thought Easy DNN Solutions, I hadn't had a chance to play with that yet, but apparently it'll convert your website to a mobile app. Maybe y'all dealt with any of that, or does it actually work?
We
There's
are
a lot
actually
of-
planning to experiment with that. We
Yeah.
plan to, have not done it yet.
There's a lot of work that you're doing for it, but it does some pretty cool stuff.
Well, that's I did notice that they put an update out, and I didn't mean to jump in, but like I say,
No, it's
those
good.
of us
Please,
that don't
yeah.
have time to write
Yeah.
code, you guys is, I gave up trying to write my own code years and years ago. I just buy it off the shelf, and that's kind of why I set in on this stuff, is I'm learning something every time you guys speak up. I do have two quick questions, if possible. And maybe this isn't a forum to ask, but number one, is there any way that I can, in other words, I've integrated RoboHelp with .NET Nuke, but I can't put the HTML files. RoboHelp generates all that HTML. Does anybody here use RoboHelp by any chance?
Back in the day I have, but it's been many, many years.
Well,
Yeah,
and that's the deal. I've welded it directly to DNN and it works fine. But what my question would be is all of the files, it generates all HTML, everything, the index and everything. I guess what I'm trying to do is figure out a way to actually put that into a secure folder. I couldn't put it into the DNN folder that allows you to add files. It doesn't support the HTML. And I've been trying to figure out a way to actually secure that HTML files. Right now, let's see. Oh, okay. I just saw Ryan's message pop up there. But that would be nice if I could figure out a way to actually lock that stuff down. So basically, for what it's worth, I'm giving away that part of it. If all you have to do is grab the URL
yeah.
with the website.
It depends on what you do with secured folders, but within the asset manager, you are able to lock a folder and make that folder permission required for registered users. And then anything that's inside that folder, if you call it the right way, it's going to prompt that you be logged into DNN before it releases access to that file. So there's still ways for you to get to them directly if you know what the real URLs are, but it's definitely something that's part of the core. That if you play with making those folders have permissions, that would be the path, I think.
Well, I'll give that a try. I did buy, let me jump over here and look. I did buy a module. I just needed, I played with it and it's working well for other files. I'm just trying to peek in here right quick.
What did you buy? The DMX?
This was, no, it's a, let's see here, modules. Oh, dang it. I see too many of them. I bought so much. But it wasn't the DNM mechanic. Ebota was the name of it. And yeah, it was basically the user files module. I apologize for not.
I like that one.
Evativa.
Yeah.
But my challenge with trying to deal with that is the way that I'm just trying to create a link on my website.
Yes.
Just basically where they click it. And I'm having a hard time at that point, but I will look at the assets. I'm not trying to get you guys to write the code for me.
The Evativa user files module is a nice way to make a listing or a folder listing of files be accessible to logged in users or what have you. It makes a really nice file list with some features that make you feel like you're using Windows File Manager or something like that. It's a nice module. I have used it for a few clients.
Well, and it works well, but that's the issue. The oil-filled hands that I'm dealing with ain't smart enough to navigate that folder. I just need a link, like in other words, just like adding a page where they're just clicking on it. And it works well on my website, but I'll get down that asset manager and play with that a little bit. And then one other quick question. I don't want to steal everybody's thunder. Ryan, I had a question for you on the that module that you sell. It's the list module. I guess a challenge that I've had with it, and maybe it just can't happen, but running with scissors, just trying to build something, snapping products together. One of the things like your list, is there a way to put an iframe on one half of the page and then where you click something in the list and you can actually drive something through the iframe? Does .NET Nuke even handle anything like that? I haven't figured out a way to make it happen.
Is the iframe on the same domain name or is it across some other different domain name or
No,
different website?
it's on the same page actually and the same domain. And I just can't figure out. I bought Superscript and all of that stuff trying to inject Java.
Yeah. There are a few different ways to handle something that's on a list on one side and you click to see a detail on the other side. If I was building that from scratch, I'd do that with Xmod Pro. Other people would do that with Too Sexy. But you definitely can still use traditional old iframe style back and forth between things as long as they're on the same domain. If you're going across different websites or different domains, it's becoming increasingly, security-wise, harder and harder to do that reliably. But if it's, again, the same site that you're going back and forth, that's what frames and iframes were invented for originally. So you should be able to, call a link to change something in the other frame. You just have to make sure you have your targets all set up right. Think real traditional, like you used to do with normal frames, and you might have 3 or 4 frames inside of a page. Same thing with iframes.
I just hadn't been able to drive your list, but it's good to know. I gave up for a while and I've been so busy, hadn't had time to circle back. But you're telling me that it's possible, I'll figure it out. I
I think so.
guarantee you that.
Does anybody else disagree? I think there are other ways to do it as well that are worth investigating, but as a technical item, it should work.
All right. Well, y'all answered my questions. I just need to come up for air and have enough time to play with it. But I spent days on it and didn't make any headway. And basically what it is like, let's just say we've got your list on the left side of the page and then just got a blank iframe on the right side. And as I click items on your list, I'm trying to load data into that iframe, and it just seems like I've hit brick walls. But I know I'm way too low level
Nah,
for you
reach out
guys,
to me.
but
We can
you
help you
answered the
out.
big question for me that it's possible, and if it's possible, by God, I'll make it happen.
Sure thing. I think you're dealing with targets, and I think you can make it happen.
All right. Well, I'll just do some more research. And sorry about jumping in on
No
show.
worries. I'll email you too. I got an email from you. I got your address from a while back. I'll say hi and connect to look at what you got going on and pass you a couple of ideas.
I do appreciate that, but like I say, my show and tell, I've got that website, and all I know is it's generating income. I can't even keep up with it. So
That's
even
good.
with it half-ass snap together, I'm making 40,000 a month, so I'm happy.
Oh, Jesus.
All right.
I would like a job. Let's talk.
Well, and I just recently retired I don't even have to get off the couch, but they brought me in after I retired. And yeah, they're paying me $2,000 a day to just point at things. So
I think that Sherman is a success story, and we need to do a bio story with him. I think that sounds great.
no, you guys are the true pros. I'm running with scissors here, but it did bring my clients to the table. I will say that that was enough. And the website
Sweet.
just barely works, but it was enough for me. And that's why I'm learning from you guys every time. And I appreciate y'all letting me sit in. And I'll try to be
Always.
quiet, shut up while you do your show and tell.
Oh, that's why we're here, right?
That's
Right,
great.
David?
Yeah,
That's what we do.
right. That's what we're doing. It's a good
I
deal.
appreciate y'all.
Yeah, sure thing. Thanks for sharing that. Jeremy, you had one more thing you thought you would be able to share?
Yeah, if it's okay. Am I muted?
Mhm.
No, I'm not muted.
No, you're good.
Wow. All right. Let me see if I can get this organized here. First off, something was, let me do the share screen. Ta-da. There we go. All right, so first off, just wanted to mention, Easy DNN News was mentioned, and I just wanted to share some internal company humor. Want to see things that trigger my gag reflex? Read the first 4 bullets of this Easy DNN News V12 version announcement.
Oh, I can't wait.
And here we go. I'm going to highlight the problems here. Can everyone see that? Gag reflex in order. Generate articles with AI. Every sentence ends with AI. I just can't stand it anymore. All right. Now that is out of the way.
Oh,
One of the-
well, that's because that was their big announcement, is that they've continued to improve their AI integration into their DNN news so that
Yeah,
you can
you
put in a
lost me.
portion
Well,
of
you
an
lost me when you
article.
said AI.
Yeah, he gets it. Jeremy, you can let us know how you really feel
Oh
at
my
some
God.
point in the future.
Oh my God. It's kind of like all the stuff with high fructose corn syrup. They develop the packaging for the new product before they have the product, and then the guys in the lab have to go figure out what the product is. Okay, so what I wanted to talk about really was Inside Too Sexy in the most recent versions, V17 and forward. If you start to look at the code that is generating under the hood in your app, here's one I have here. I have an app called PDPR, and there are new folders. Can you guys see that well enough right here?
Mhm.
So there's a new folder being generated called app code. Okay. And in here is data. And I'm inside the Too Sexy app. And what this is doing is taking your content types and turning them into classes, generated classes. So I'm actually going to show you one of the generated ones first. This one's called Page Plus. So to flip the other end of the spectrum, let me just show you real quick. Oh, where did that screen go? Hang on. There we go. I minimized it. All right. So we're in Too Sexy. Going to the back end data. I have a content type called Page Plus. It's basically a pages content type reflecting additional information in DNN pages. It's our own little creation. But if you go into the fields, what Too Sexy is doing now is generating, and they call this Copilot, which I wish they would rename it. So for every one of these fields, you have page link is the one I'm going to focus on. For every one of these fields in your generated code, which is here. So notice I'm in app code data, page plus generated.cs. And you get inside here, and this is a very somewhat normal looking class file. You
Don't
need
zig
to
when you
read
should
this.
zag, though.
What?
Don't zig when you should zag, though. Sorry, it's
Right.
just a joke. Just a joke.
No, it's applicable to, because here it is, zag page plus. So I get it. So you guys, if you once you get in here, you need to read this. You should not be modifying these files. These get generated every time you save your content type, make changes to the fields. These will get regenerated. So what's cool about this is everything in this folder will get recompiled. So if you guys can see this, I realize it's a little small. Can I increase this? Yeah, I can a little bit. So you notice there's another page plus here called pageplus.acurity.cs. That's the name of our company, is Acurity. So what we've done, in addition to the default ones, remember I said I was dealing with the page link content type, the field, and here you can see them taking the item and converting it as a URL, converting it as a file, converting it as a folder. And they are then generating that output for you so that you can type it in your code, in your Razor, and get nice IntelliSense. So what we did, and you can do, is you can name them any way you want, as long as it's in this folder and ends in .cs. It will take your file and also generate it. Notice it's a partial class. It will generate it into the same DLL, and you can make up anything you want and return anything you want. So what I've done is I've decided I wanted the page ID. That's going to return, call the function page link ID. Page link ID calls our function. This is our own overkill creation here, but I'm destructuring the item page link to string value, and then I'm pulling it through, and all I'm doing is taking the results, and I just wanted the ID returned as an int. That was not something that is generated and happens by default.
Jeremy, where were you last week? Because I probably lost many hours. You know how it is. I know exactly why you did this too, because you can't get the page ID and you need it for the link.to method. So you've got to
You're
get
right on
hacky.
topic.
To,
so what I've
get
basically done is made it so that here, let me go straight to the code where I use this. So
Jim, this might look familiar a little bit.
Wow, I don't have the consuming page searchable. How is that possible? So all I'm trying to say is you can literally make your own IntelliSense friendly function calls to return your content type data any way you want. So like one of the other ones I did in another project was really simple. I had a string that had numbers in it. I simply wanted to return whatever the number was in the sentence as an integer, actually as a decimal in that case. So in other words, I said the value of this product is 24.99, and it even had a $sign in front of it. But I have a function that scans the string and returns the first valid number it finds. I then wrote that, called into my function, and returned it as a decimal. And then I was able to add a IntelliSense friendly .decimal, whatever the field name was, and get what I wanted the way I wanted. And it was now built in with IntelliSense, which means your developers can discover it as they go. You're literally self-documenting your data and the way you want to use it. And I find this to be such a tremendously useful advantage. So this is a brand new feature. I don't know how it's going to develop and move forward, but if you guys haven't looked closely at this and you care about how you use your data and you want shortcuts, especially when you look at repeated code all over the place that you find yourself, oh, I should refactor this, and then you don't have time. You put it once here in your own file and it's compiled, it's IntelliSense friendly, it's basically self-documented. This is so useful. I hope you guys pay attention to this, and I'll have other examples of this in the future, but this has been so much fun for me. I really liked moving to, Razor typed, but then when he did this strongly typed thing and this auto-generated auto-compile thing had the side effect of doing your own partial classes, my God, this has been so useful for us. I've had 2 or 3 solutions lately where I just feel like the amount of time saved and the discoverability later on is fantastic. So
Jeremy,
anyhow.
Can I get you to back up for a moment?
Sure.
Could you go to the generated file that you had first?
Sure.
Because I just want to ask a question. If you go to the generated file,
at
the top of it, at the very top, he has some notes about how to create your own class. So is that essentially what you did to try to? Yeah. So did you have to do anything? Did you have to do anything different?
Yeah, the only thing I did different was I did .acurity.
Yeah.
There's no reason in the world to do that. I just wanted to self-proclaim that this was, when other people here that work here work on it, I want them to understand and know without thinking that this is stuff we wrote. You're supposed to do this way.
So basically, if you take his sort of template, it has the ability to do some nice stuff in terms of the auto completion. Because I looked at it and thought, oh, that's interesting, but I didn't get that excited about it.
Yeah.
Obviously, the only thing you need to probably be a little bit, considerate of in doing this is it is a little bit brittle. So yours is not going to be auto-generated. So if something does change that impacts yours because you are implementing, it'll be a little bit brittle. But it's really just using inheritance, right? It's for it to pull it in. So it's pretty straightforward and very powerful and helpful.
I agree with you that it can be brittle, but as long as you pay attention to what you're doing, get to the finish line the same day you're working on it, it's usually okay.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's really cool.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah, maybe I can show you this. No, it's my IntelliSense is not working right now. I am on a new machine. Quite a few things have changed on me, and I'm a little lost. I should have done this on my old machine. The IntelliSense is not firing at all right now.
I find it a little bit finicky, and sometimes you just have to close Visual Studio and open it right back up, and it's fine.
I feel you.
Yeah. No, it's cool.
Right, anyhow,
it's very cool.
It's cool, fun, interesting, and self-documenting. That's one of my key things.
Yeah, I love the discoverability of that, and
Exactly.
because the code becomes more simple in your Razor files now. You just basically dot whatever it is instead of having to remember what type of a file or a field it is and all that. You just get it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, we had a client report an error today where, we were expecting them to type an age start and an age end in two different fields, and they typed 34 comma but can be such and such, and this got somehow saved into the data. And so anyhow, you can see that you can create stuff that would handle those weird situations or detect it and be able to display a reasonable error. All kinds of possibilities for this stuff.
Very cool. Alrighty. I am drawing to a point where I have to go. I'm prepping for leaving on DNN Connect, and I've got deadlines here. So I don't know if anybody else has anything quick that they wanted to share or not before we approach the hour here.
I'll share that. I don't know if anyone else has noticed, but I feel like Discord has become far more active and interactive. If you guys aren't on there, and I think there's one or two people that I don't see on there much. So get over there and check it out.
Yeah, it's a lot of activity. I can't even keep up with so much activity, so I have to kind of work in bulk over there these days, it seems. It's nice to see. And plus the content lives forever, Ryan. So, I know it was one of your peeves about Slack there.
Yeah, I abandoned Slack really hard.
Can't even reach Jeremy there anymore. Great. It's been good to do a little show and tell, a little less formal, and get to learn some new stuff and see some new things. Really cool. I'll go ahead and end the recorded session. I know, Ryan, you wanted to chat a little bit.
Yeah, just for a second.
So we'll do that, and hope everybody has a great one. Thanks for joining if you're online.
Thank you.
See everyone next month.
Thanks a lot.
Good night.
Thanks
Bye.
all.